Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing episode 1 of our Alpha Class TCG Contender series, where I'm going to be giving you contender overviews and profiles of each of the first 5 contenders that are going to be coming out in set 1 next month of the Alpha Class TCG. So hopefully you can get a better understanding of which contender is right for you and just kind of get a better idea of where to spend your money, right, with the new TCG, which is always really important. So hopefully you like this type of content. If you do, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. If you are a long-standing member, thank you all so much for your continued support. We have over 400 members in the Discord down below with a great community, and we're trying to build our Alpha Class community. So if you're new to the game and you also like a little bit of flesh and blood, definitely join that. Feel free to also check out the Patreon down below to help get access to my videos a day early, or just help support the channel in general. All the money I make from that comes right back into the channel. Don't spend it anywhere else. So we'll get right into it. So there's 5 contenders that are coming out for the first set. There is Moxie, which usually affiliates with the black cards. There is Clarity, which is under the white cards. Magnate, which is under the green cards. Mean Streak, which is under blue. And Torque, which is under red. For me personally, Moxie, which you see right here on the screen, Ready to Hunt, was the first contender I aligned with very quickly. Coming from Flesh and Blood, it's really big. It's also a hero-based TCG, right, where you align with a certain deck or a certain archetype, a certain character that you just really feel affiliated with. And for me and Moxie, I felt affiliated with her right away for several reasons. One, when it comes to like superhero and like the Marvel, DC, whatever it is universe, my favorite characters are characters like Hawkeye, Black Widow, Batman, heroes that like don't have a specific power, but they just have these super amazing dedication and abilities that allow them to basically be in fights they have no business being in with, right? And for me, that was one of the biggest draws for me. Another one was like the aesthetic of the cards, like the militaristic, like super armor stuff was really cool. And then also her ability to attach weapons. I love Katsu and Flesh and Blood, and I also love like artifact stuff and Magic when I did play it. And then also like equipment-based decks, not so much artifacts, but equipment-based decks and Magic. So I really like got affiliated with it really quickly. So as we look into it here, she has 2 abilities. Her first ability starts at 30 health. She is an Alpha Hunter contender. Says class cards you control may attach more than 1 weapon. It's really important because in this game, typically, you only can attach 1 weapon to a clash card that is wanting to attack, right? To give it a slight buff or change in its whatever it is. With Moxie, she's able to do multiple. And when you account that with her second ability, which is starts at 10 life, which says once per turn during your primary phase, you may attach a weapon you control to an Alpha Hunter clash card you control without paying that weapon's attach cost, you can start to buff your attacks up really, really quickly and be able to have a snowball effect with Moxie, especially in the mid to late game. Basically, Moxie is a mid-range to defensive deck that wants to overwhelm her opponent with board presence and be able to basically outlast your opponent, make them burn through the resources, and then you basically suit up all your stuff and kill your opponent in 1 to 3 turns. That's like the essential thought of Moxie. So I guess the most layman's term is semi-OTK, I would call her. She really has very high efficiency late game when both heroes are kind of like top decking or trying to like only can draw 1 or 2 cards and they're like getting down low. She's one of those heroes that can really outvalue her opponent because she's able to attach things for free or attach multiple things at once in order to have like a really powerful turn. So that's what Moxie's all about. When it comes to her lore, because I think that's really important, I'll read it really briefly. But Moxie is a U.S. Army promoted Maxine Riggins is her actual name to major after demonstrating bravery in her first encounter with Magnate. So in the lore, she fought Magnate, one of the alphas, because she's under the Alpha Hunters, which is basically like mankind's answer to these superhumans, like trying to fight them. Maxine Riggins was served as a U.S. Army in the U.S. Army 1st Cavalry Division. The U.S. Army loaned Riggins to a special project as a test pilot under Colonel Edwards, which is another card in the game, supervision. Riggins was helping develop advanced weapon system in basically exosuits and power armor. Major Riggins heads up a portion of the U.S. response to the rise of the Alphas and teams up with Clarity, which is another contender, to help take down the ruthless and powerful Alpha Magnates. So that's kind of like her background. Goes a lot more deeper in that, but just to kind of give you a big thing. So You can't talk about Moxie without talking about her weapons. So these are just a couple of the weapons. There's a couple more, and then you also can like mix in weapons from like the white color deck as well. But she functions off these weapons. These weapons give her added abilities, and in late game, you're able to stack multiple of these in order to have very powerful attacks. So one of her, in my opinion, tried and true weapons so far is Weber's Binoculars. You pay 1 to attach it. Whenever an attached clash card attacks, you may engage this card. If you do, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may reveal an accessory or clash card with an initial resource cost of 2 or less among them. Put it in your hand and put the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. Now, when it comes to when Moxie has certain interactions, I'm not going to go super in depth, but she has certain interactions where basically she could trigger Weber's Binoculars twice in a turn or multiple times, because being able to attach it to different things, especially for free late game, and be able to basically have advanced card draw, and again, be able to outvalue your opponent late game when maybe they like exasperate a lot of the resources. They only have 1 or 2 cards in hand. They're kind of top decking, and you're able to basically outvalue them by building a board presence with all these weapons and swing way more better than they can. She also has some really early game weapons like Moxie's Sidearm. You pay 1 to attach it. Your clash card gets 1/1, which in this game is pretty significant, especially in the early game. And if you can get multiple of these out on the field, then you can really start buffing your stuff up really quickly. There's other abilities, other weapons that she can use, but this kind of gives you an idea of some of this stuff. So your thought process is, how do you stay alive long enough to build that board presence, right? How do you keep it going, keep moving, and be able to not die before you develop that advantage? So her best way is through her trap cards. She has several trap cards that are basic, like literal removal spells, and then she also has trap cards that help damage reduction. And the reason damage reduction in this game is a little bit more important than it is in other card games is because when you attack an engage card, or a tap card is the general term, right, for you all who aren't familiar with Alpha Clash. Let's say you have a Clash card that is 2/2, and you are attacking a 1/1 tapped card on your opponent's side. That 1/1 tap card still deals damage, 1 damage back to the card that you're attacking with. So if you can reduce your opponent's damage that's coming at you and attacking you, you can defeat their clash cards even if they have a little bit more than you. So if you see Missile Barrage here on the right, it's a counter attack trap card that says target attacking clash card gets -2/-2 until end of turn. If you control 2 or more weapons, this trap costs 2 less to activate. So it only costs 1 to activate if you have 2 weapons on the field, which with Moxie is easy. So basically, let's say they're attacking you with a 3/3 clash card, and you have a 1/1 card that's, let's say, not tapped, that you want to obstruct with, that you want to block with, instead of hitting your contender. You can activate this trap card, put their attack down to 1/1, and then your 1/1 blocker will then trade with their 3/3 and be able to basically trade out, which with Moxie is a really big deal because it helps her survive late game, again, to build that board state. You then have other trap cards like Surprise and Sharpshooter Moxie. Both are just basic removal. Sharpshooter Moxie is your early game removal. It's a counterplay. You may activate this trap if the clash card being played has an initial resource cost of 2 or less. That card is sent to the Oblivion instead of entering play. So basically, early game, if they're dropping like a 1 or a 2 drop to try to pressure you out, Sharpshooter Moxie basically says, nope, I'm going to snipe you, go into the graveyard, have a nice day. Surprise is the same way. Surprise is my favorite removal in the game. This card's nuts. It's a counter attack. Target attacking clash card is sent to Oblivion after this clash. And the reason I love this card, there's no like 2 or less, 4 or more. Like you'll notice a lot of the traps in this game are like 2 or less, like Sharpshooter Moxie. Or you have one of T-Bone's attacks, which is like 4 or more, I think. This card just says, nope. After this attack, like, yeah, you're going to get attacked with your card, but after you attack with it, it's gone. Now, there may be ways for them to keep it. Who knows later on in the game, but as of right now, they could spend their whole game dropping like a big 7 or 8 drop clash card that's really powerful. They attack with it one time, you obstruct it with one of your cards, and then you activate this quick action, which is basically like an instant speed to counter the attack, saying, or before you declare blocks, saying send a target attack action clash card to the Oblivion after this this clash and basically saying, hey, you know that 7 drop that you just spent 3 turns prepping to get? Yeah, it's gone. So it's really, really good. It's a way for her to be able to survive to the late game, like we said, in order to start attaching her weapons for free or attaching multiple weapons per turn and being able to really outvalue her opponent. So looking at her attacks, she has a bunch of attacks. These are just a few of the kind of key ones. One of her good and one of the best early game attack clashes for hers is Moxie Alpha Hunting Specialist, as you see here on the right side. Trigger enter, you may reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. If you do, put a Weber or Edwards clash card with an initial resource cost of 3 or less among them into your clash zone engaged. Then put the remaining cards into your Oblivion. So there's some Weber and Edwards clash cards that already are really synergistic with Moxie's kit. This basically allows you to put 2 attacks down for 2 resources. It's super, super nice. It's a 3/1, which is also really good. It has good attack value for a 2 drop. Just a really good early game thing. Then you have Moxie Prime to Clash, which is like one of her mid-game clashes that says you may reduce the resource cost to play this card by 1 for each weapon you control. So it's normally a 5 cost, and with Moxie, it seems like to have 2 to 3 weapons on the field isn't that hard. I've even seen like in the Clash decks, like not the constructed, just like the starter decks with Moxie, people are getting 2 to 3 weapons out on the field. And that's with a untuned deck, right? With a really attuned Moxie deck, you're probably going to be able to get 3 to 4 weapons out in the field pretty easily. So being able to play this for like 1 or 2 is really nice. It has a trigger enter ability that says you may send target alpha clash card with its initial resource cost of 2 or less to the Oblivion. So basically you can remove one of their 2 or less cards if they're an alpha clash card. You may only play 1 per turn, 1 of this per turn. This is really good because several of the contenders in set 1 are alphas. Torque, I believe, is 1. Magnate is 1. So it allows you to really tech into them pretty easily. And it's a 3/3, which is really nice. And normally this is going to come in for like 3 or 2 cost. And then you have Moxie's big girl, Moxie Fully Loaded, which has Flight, which is like flying in other games. If you control 2 or more unattached weapons, you may reduce the resource cost to play this card by 1. Trigger on enter, you may attach 1 weapon you control to this card without paying the weapon's attached cost. The resource cost to activate traps you control is also reduced by 1 when this is on the field. So the reason this one is so good is 1, if you have 2 weapons on the field, which is what you want anyway when you play this card, it's only going to cost 7 as opposed to 8. Then when you combine the ability that this card has with the ability that Moxie has at her 10 health or less, it basically allows you to attach 2 weapons for free. Because what you're going to do is you're going to, let's say Moxie, you're at 9 health. You're going to play this card for 7. You're going to attach 1 weapon you control to this card without paying its attached cost. Then you're also going to use your once per turn during the primary phase to attach a weapon you control to an Alpha Hunter Clash card without paying its weapon cost. So basically you're going to use Moxie's ability along with this fully loaded ability to attach both of those unattached that you just had on your field for free. And when you start to get into some of these weapons that give 1/1 and 2/2, all of a sudden this Moxie Fully Loaded could be coming in for like 8, 9, 9, 10, which is super powerful. Again, Moxie's a late to mid to late game character, and from what I'm seeing in the Discord and some general discussion, obviously the game has not came out, so people are only speculating at this point, is Moxie is one of the weaker contenders. I personally don't think that's true. I think she has a lot of legs. I think that she is a mid to late game character. She's also a very finesse-driven character. You have to know how to sequence properly, know how to stay alive, know how to value your life, and also use your life as a resource. And typically those types of decks don't do well early game. They do a lot better in the late game. And they also, early in metas, decks like this don't do as well because you have decks like Torque and Magnate, which are basically put big clash card down, swing at you for lots of damage, right? It's super easy. It's not a hit on anybody who plays those decks, but they're not as hard to play, right? You can play the deck and have general level of success. Moxie's going to take a lot of intuition, a lot of intuitiveness when you're playing the deck, and a lot of practice and a lot of knowledge with the matchup to be able to be successful. She does have a lot of synergy with the white color cards, with Clarity's cards, with life gain to be able to help stay alive longer. There's also a lot of damage reduction in white, which will also help Moxie. And there's a couple weapons like Clarity's 1911, which is another sidearm weapon that gives 1/1 as well, which is really good for her, I believe. So overall, I'm really enjoying Moxie. She's my favorite. I just love the aesthetic. I love the way she looks and plays. I'm super excited about it. I think that she'll have a lot of legs once people figure out how to play her. But definitely check her out. I think it's really good. Tomorrow I'll be doing Clarity. Just recorded that one as well to talk about Clarity. Clarity is a very highly competitive deck, so hopefully you like that. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hopefully this gives you a good idea of what Moxie is, what her play style is, if you would like her. And yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this. If you did like this content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Hey, if you didn't, let me know how I can do it better. I would love, this is a new TCG for me, something I'm really excited about talking about and playing. However, I want to get better for you all. So definitely let me know what is best for you. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TC Talk. Thank y'all so much. Have a nice night.